Are we ready to go vintage? Yes. Are you ready to see this show? I need first, let me get my vintage outfit on because we can't be vintage in this. How's this for a start? And I'm going to try this little purple apron, the one that has, oops, room for boobies. Woo, let me take off my hat and get this on. Okay, my assistant has to turn me on. This is pretty, huh? I like this. Well, and now we need to have 2 quilt holders. Who can give up their lunch long enough to hold our quilts? Are you already done eating, Joan? Oh my goodness, come up here. We have just and we have 2 adorable outfits for you. Ooh. Now, see? Not all aprons are quite this shapely, right? Woo, look at the side view. Okay, see the back? Okay, you know what? This would look really cute with your yellow and blue. Right. We planned it that way. But you can wear the red hat. Ooh, and let me see how you are in black. Your hair is so adorable. But is it going to hold its spring? There, isn't Joan cute? Ah, oh, and you're really cute. We're kind of twins.
Okay, hi, sweetie.
This is my fabric from years ago. Okay, so we're ready. We are ready for Quilts from Elle's Attic. Don't we look like we've been in the attic, huh? We look exactly like we've been in the attic. Anyhow, I have a great stack of antique quilts and new quilts to show you. You want to see them? Okay, pull away the cover. Oh, and give me the list so I can see. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. So we're going back to the 1930s to the Kansas City Star. Now, did you know that the Kansas City Star published 1 quilt block every week? 1 quilt block, and the women would send their husbands down to the store to buy that newspaper. They'd run home with that newspaper, and the women would sit down and make that block immediately. Ah, you guys are supposed to laugh. Because they wanted to know how to put it together, how they could share it with their neighbors, what the templates were. Well, I found this antique top made from all blocks from the Kansas City Star. Do you like it? I love it. You love it. I know. I love it too. I'm passionate about my antique quilts. But anyhow, you might recognize some of the blocks that are in here. Let's see if we straighten out the back. Oh, let's go for an easy one. Let's see. Which one in the window? Oh! Do you know this one? Dove in the window. Dove in the window! Absolutely, dove in the window. And this one would probably be like, what do you think? Like spiderweb. Spiderweb. Good job. You guys know. And look at this one. That's got the spools in it, yes. And let's see this one. Snail's Trail. Are you guys quilters? So, okay, so you recognize some of them. Well, I love this one. It was machine pieced and then hand quilted. You want to see the back? Ooh, all right. Ah, so I thought, okay, I should take all my antique quilts and turn it into a sampler quilt. What do you think about that? Well, my friend Brian was sitting in my living room the other day, getting bored waiting for me. So he decided to count the antique quilts in my living room. Take a guess how many he counted. 284. And he said, Elle, one of the closets was locked, so I couldn't count those. So I had a lot to select from, and that's what I have in my stack. This is the sampler quilt that we made from the antique quilts. All last year we made one block each month. And then this is just what we put together. I love the red. Look, she's picking off all the threads. Isn't that fun? So we use like a kind of a cute, really cute 30s line. Each one of the blocks is from an antique quilt that is in my new book coming out called Quilts from Elle's Attic. Yay! And I hope I get you so inspired that you're all going to want to pre-order the book. So these are all the blocks, and we finished it with a beautiful scalloped edge. And then we did a second one. This is the second one, our sampler quilt. Ta-da! And this one, this is, thank you. Isn't that, you like that one? We need that little Sunbonnet Sue doll that goes along with this one. This is a line from Benartex. So, Chris, do you know where our little doll is that goes along with this? It's like Sunbonnet Susie. It's just so fun. And let me see if you recognize some of them. I'm going to go. What's that one?
Grandmother's fan. Oh, it's like a Dresden plate.
It is a Dresden plate. Ah. It is a Dresden plate. And this one?
Goose.
Yep, I think Goose in the Pond is one of the names. Right. Here. Isn't she cute? Aww. This little doll goes along with a line of fabric. It's just so fun. Do you know this one? Ocean Waves. Ocean Waves. Very good. Ocean Waves. And this one is Spiderweb, 2 spiderwebs there. Well, you're going to see them, all of these through the stack, and there's going to be a test afterwards. So pay good attention. Okay, you can pass it on. Okay, so this one is just a little sampler quilt of all the little blocks put together. This one is called a fan basket. Isn't that cute? Fan basket. This one's called English Garden. Ruby McKim's English Flower Garden. And around the outside edge is the ice cream cone border. Isn't that wonderful? I know, I really love it. And a little bit of rickrack trim in the fan that makes it really special. All right, so I feel so right at home just holding my doll. And this one is a special one. This one is a combination starting with the Dresden in the middle, and then we surrounded it with the ocean waves, and in the corners of the ocean wave, Spiderweb. You guys are already getting all the answers. Cool. And this is like a double. Can you even see all of those? I know. Okay, now let's give this, okay. You have to tip out. You have to go that way. That is your show. The more noise you make, the better show you're going to get. So let's get this clear, right? So that's what we have to kind of remember. We have to show you, and then you have to go, ooh, and then you've got it, you've got it, you've got it. And then beautiful backing on it. Well, I just now taught at Road to California. I did this 4-block. It could be a table runner like this, or a bed runner. See, a bed runner at the foot of your bed if you don't want to do a whole one. Or you could hang it lengthwise, and you could hang it on your wall. See, you guys are getting serious now. You're getting out your cameras, huh? I know, and we look so good. All right. So this is the first antique. You're going to say, what? Antique, antique? It is. It is. That is in the picture. And do you have my little white notebook, Sue? This pattern is in there. This quilt is from the McCall's quilting pattern, 1941, cost 35 cents. 35 cents. And this is how it came to be. There was a woman 1941. It was Loretta Smith's neighbor. She bought the McCall's pattern, and she saw that the McCall's pattern used this yellow, and she said, I'm going to make that quilt. And she sat around with her scissors, and she cut out all those pieces. And then she put it in a box and never got to it. She gave it to her neighbor, Loretta Smith. She said, Loretta, if you make this quilt, you can have it. So Loretta, ooh, and she took it. Loretta never made it. So Loretta came to me with the box and she said, Elle, if you make this quilt, you can have it. I never made it. So I gave it to my sewing assistant, Teresa, and I said, Teresa, if you make this quilt, you can't have it. But anyhow, these are old pieces from the 40s that have been put together into this quilt. Thank you. This is it. Here it is. Looks just like this. Can you see the yellow in it? Yeah, the yellow and the ice cream cone board. It's amazing to me how the quilt maker found all those exact pieces. They were just called the ditsies. And I loved it so much that I sent it to my hand quilter, Irene Meyer in Alma, Kansas. Oops, I'm not going to tell you anymore. I don't want you to get in touch with Irene. She's my hand quilter. And she followed the pattern exactly and did the hand quilting just like it. Isn't that great? So much fun. It's just beautiful. So I feel very, very fortunate to have it. We like it. It's different. Okay, pass it on. I'm going to give you my little doll. Well, last year I went to our quilt festival, Quilt Market Quilt Festival. I spotted this quilt right away. I said, I need that quilt. Yeah. So I'm sure she followed this pattern, don't you think? I'm sure she followed it, and has that green from the 1930s and the 40s. I'm not sure these little circles must have been her idea. I don't know if the corners didn't match perfectly and she had to cover them maybe. We have to make up stories why they do it. Yeah, but isn't it beautiful? Yeah. And the focus on the green pointed ones, the little ovals. Ooh, cool. Wow. And all the hand quilting on it. And the bias binding. Oh, beautiful. So that was our first antique quilt. Teresa made a new one out of the pattern, and here it is. Oh, I love it when you pick up your cameras. That means we have something good. I'm going to be really upset when you don't take a photo, huh? Anyhow, this one just has a lattice in between, a little table runner, wall hanging. But we did decide to do something different. We were concerned about that bias binding around the outside. So we did a quick turn. A quick turn. Ah, and you don't need to do the bias binding. If you take it and you show it on the back side, you'll be able to show it. They'll be able to see. See how it's just a quick turn along there? Easy quilting. Don't have to do it by hand. Boy, we are just picking off those threads like crazy, huh? But anyhow, this is in the book. Get it? Ooh, in the book. Well, along with the Dresden in McCall's quilting, they had this one. Bubblegum pink, beautiful bubblegum pink, the traditional fan, and there's like 6 little wedges in it. And what this quilt maker did is she made it really easy. Instead of doing 6 different little prints in each one, she just chose 2. And she kept repeating those 2 just within the fan. Makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And just set it together with solid squares, very traditional. And if you notice the quilting, it's quite simple. And if I go right here, you can see it. It's like curved quilting. And they refer to that as Baptist quilting because at the church, they'd all line up along the frame. You'd only have so much room, and your neighbor would be right beside you. So you got to go shoop, and then you have to go back again, shoop, shoop. And that's why they have those little curves. Yes, were you part of that? Let's see if we can see some of the quilting on the back. This one is really fun and bright, but you can definitely see the Baptist quilting on the back. Do you see that? The nice curved quilting. And I'm sure they just used good old McCall's pattern to put it all together. Well, this one definitely was from the 30s with the bubblegum pink. And I'm going to pass this to you. Now, this is what I love about my job. Don't show it yet. I always say, if you have antique pieces that somebody couldn't put together, don't hesitate to put them in a box and send them to me. I'm on a mission to finish all those quilts. So these blocks showed up one day. Isn't that nice? Aren't they cute? And actually, these are only half of the fans that were in the box. I have this group called the Bucket List Club. And it's so much fun. This is the idea. At the Bucket List Club, you have to finish something that was started before you kick the bucket, right? So I had all my members of my Bucket List Club. They just sat around. We had little rickrack across the quarter circle and the top. And then it's actually set together with a layout from my sister's book called Fans and Flutterbys. But it's kind of traditional looking almost, and this is just fabric that's been scalloped with rickrack to turn onto the raw edge. But you can still get this pattern in Fans and Flutterbys. So, is it good? Yes. Well, I've got to get my Bucket List Club to finish another fan, use up all those fans. But I got some new ideas. You'll do it? And then you'll keep it, Linda?
I'll join the club.
Join the club. I'd love to have you come to the club. It's the second Wednesday of every month. Bring your bucket list projects. Do you have unfinished projects? I had to buy a second house for my unfinished projects. Okay, now this technique. I forgot the techniques. You forgot to tell me, show us how to make them. I'm messed up. I got in at midnight last night. Rewind. Rewind. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Should we go back to Dresden? I'm really going in there. Okay, this is a Dresden plate. Those are the pieces. You're just going to make the little pointed one. There, that's good. And then you can take your ruler and cut those points. I'm good, huh? And you can cut off the curves with your scissors. Now this is the little curved one. There's 16 of those in one plate, so you could stack up 4, cut 4 at one time, and then just cut off the curve. Okay, there we go. 4 pointed, 4 pointed. Okay, let's assembly line sew those 4 with the curves on the top. Just run them through, lay out groups of 4, and then just keep on assembly line sewing. I like to lay them out, and once I see how to really arrange them. Then you start adding the pointed one every 4 in between. And then you just press all those seams open. See, there's the whole circle. The secret is lightweight, non-woven, fusible interfacing. And you lay the whole plate right sides together to the fusible side of the interfacing. Then you trim it. This is the same for the pointed, for the oval in the center. There's 4 ovals in the center. So you just sew in the line with 1.8 stitch. The technique, cut a hole, stick a straw to the point, turn to the fabric on the end, take the ballpoint on your bodkin, push it into the straw and remove the straw. Repeat, push the fabric into the straw, Take the straw off, run the bodkin around in the inside, and pick the points out with your stiletto. And then, now you can use your point turner to curve out all those rounded edges. Make it smooth, cut out the center, get those points out, make them perky. Okay, now you take your background fabric, lay it all down on your background, and now take those ovals and just center them on top. And that's all fusing on the back. So take your iron, fuse it down, and then stitch around the outside edge with a blanket stitch, a zigzag, or hand. Wow. I'm breathless. Was that good? Did you like to see that? Okay, now we're almost caught up. The traditional fan. Are you ready to see that? Yes. Okay, we're going to have to cut that. Okay, wait. Okay, this is the traditional one. Six fan blades. Make pairs, stack them up. Put your template right on top. Trace around your template. And then just cut with your rotary cutter on the straight. Cut with scissors on the curve. Oh, the quarter circle for the bottom part. Whoa, that was fast. Okay, and then just start assembly line sewing your pairs together. I use my stiletto. There's 6 in a row. You're going to sew all your pairs, so you have 6. Now take rickrack and line up the edge of the rickrack with the raw edge, and do the same thing with your quarter circle. Flip that rickrack under and just put it right on your, okay, Eric, want to hold it right there. Stop! And then you put your traditional fan on your background fabric. Now, we're going to go with a really special one. This one is actually antique pieces again. Ooh, isn't that beautiful? I know, I know. This was in a box in my garage for a long time too. Oops, about 10 years ago, I pulled out my box and I gave it to Teresa. And I said, you have to do this. And she went through the box. Let's see, I don't have a good bulletin board, but you do right there. See? Then she counted all the pieces, and this was pretty good. This was not bad. And then there was the little quarter circle like that. That's not bad. But when she got to this piece, yes, that's good. Lift up your head. When she got to this piece, she said, no way. And she folded it all up, and she counted, and she put it all back in the box. She gave it back to me. She said, I can't do that. I can't do that. So last year I got it out, and I said, Teresa, this year you have to finish this quilt. There was just like the diagonal, this end was not done. This was all done. But she did it. She put it all together. So doesn't it look great? Our photographer thought that it was just, like a new quilt. These are all old pieces, and they're from the pattern by Laura Wheeler and Alice Brooks, and that's in my notebook, and I have a copy of the original. Ryan was nice enough to get on eBay and write for the fan. I think they call this grandmother's fan. This is what it looks like. And see? I don't know why I have to write a 98-page book. Here it is, right here. Grandmother's Fan by Alice Brooks. Do you guys know those? Alice Brooks, Laura Wheeler and Alice Brooks. They're fictitious ladies like Betty Crocker. They were from Old Chelsea Station. There's the yardage. Old Chelsea Station in New York City. There we go. Isn't that pretty? But that's what this quilt maker cut all of her pieces from. She did it exactly right. She good? Is it beautiful together? Very, very pretty. So, Gail came into our office. Ryan said, Gail, you have to go make us a quilt. And I showed her the traditional quilt. And she said, oh, I don't want to make the traditional one. I want to make this one. And I'm thinking, oh, man, that's hard to do. But not so. And now, Eric, you can show how to do the scalloped fan. There it is right there. If you actually start with 2.5-inch strips, you could use a jelly roll if you are going to make a quilt. And then you just seam it first, and then you put your template along the edge, trace it on there, so that by the time you go ahead, take your cutter, your ruler, you open it up, it's already curved. Ah, isn't that nice? Now you press your seams open. Now you want to get a nice scalloped edge across the top. So you want to do like a stay stitch, 1/4 inch in. And I just like to put my finger right behind my foot so I lightly gather it. And then you just fold that edge over. Then you take each of your pairs and pin so they all line nice across the top. And you sew them together like so. We're doing good. And just turn under that edge, turn it under. I do a lot of pinning here. Put the 1/4 circle on the top, finish it with the blind hem stitch, the blanket stitch, trim any extra along the edge. And you're good to go. Wow. Is that fun? Oh my goodness, I think I'm getting worn out. Okay, so now we have a quilt my sister Patty did. She combined both of them. Whoa, now this fits a twins. Isn't it beautiful? It was long arm quilted by Mary Jo Rembold in Julian, California. But anyhow, she's got the scallop fans in the corners, the Dresden in the very center. Beautiful quilting around the outside. Did you show these ladies? Did I hear you? Ooh, there we go. That's good. That's really nice. It's really, really fun. And we have a scallop ruler at Quilt in a Day that we use for making all of our scalloped edges. Just beautiful. I love the quilting in it. Mm-hmm. Magnificent. Let's see how the back is. Can you see anything? Kind of a disappointing show, huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know where she got that fabric. For a good price, too. All right, so this is the second one that Gail did with that same pattern. This is the same as that Sunny Sue fabric from Benartex. Sunny Days. Sunny Days. This does look sunny, huh? Yes, it does. Very, very cute. Lovely quilting. Scallop just at the top, and then straight edges along the side and the bottom. So what do you think about these quilts? Do you like antique quilts like me? I just love to copy them. Now this one, Gail made very contemporary for her bedroom. Isn't it pretty in those fabrics? Yes, it's very, very graceful. And I can see she did a nice quilting right inside the scallop fan. And then feathers, ooh, all along there. Just beautiful. Yeah, is the back good? Yes. Whoa, look at that. Wow. And she put the orphan on the back as her label. Isn't that nice? She called it my favorite fan. Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah, that's Gail Yakos made that. One of our teachers, educators. Okay, well, we had 2 fans, traditional and scallop. There's a third fan. We went nuts about fans. Ready to see this one? Yes. All right. This is also Alice Brooks, Laura Wheeler. Isn't that fun? Yes, now this one is really fun with the with the different colors of handles, the very perky handles on each one of them. It's just a real simple fan here with a bottom so you can set it down. And there's a pattern in the color. I have to see what it is. Kind of like diagonal rows. In columns, yeah. She went up and down, straight up and down. Well, this one was loaned to me by one of my students, I'd say 25 years ago, and she didn't come back for it. But Linda, it's still waiting for you. You should come back and pick it up. But anyhow, we decided that this one should also be in Quilts from Elle's Attic. And so we worked on this fan. I do think we do have some directions for it. I remember. Eric, hit it. There it is, right there. Very cute. So we're featuring our 60-degree equilateral triangle ruler. This is the handle. It's just a triangle that you cut up. And then you just take strips and sew it to two sides. So just make sure you get that strip centered because that point is tricky. You tend to cut it too short. You sew it down one side, press toward that strip, and trim it off. And just whoop, and straight at the bottom. Okay, that's one side. Then you do the exact same thing with the other side. Take it, flip it right sides together, stitch it right along there. So I'm pretty good at the machine, don't you think? Yep, and then you just trim it off, and there you have your handle. Then the edges, you take a rectangle, two rectangles. The directions are actually written making two baskets at one time because you just use one side of the rectangle and then the second side for the second one. Okay, cut off your tip. And then you just flip that triangle again. Cut off your tip. Well, sometimes we let our tips hang out. You just never know. Okay, now this is the little bottom. You take a square and you just draw a diagonal line. So on both sides of the diagonal line, square it up. Now there is a pattern for you. Just take that pattern, place it on top. Just trim off that top edge. And this is going to be the bottom of your basket. There's your little fan, and you just put that right in the bottom. Isn't that nice? I know. It's very nice. Now we want to do some measuring so that we make sure that we're going to make this the right height, the same height as the rest of our blocks. So you're just going to lay it on top of your handle, draw a line with your hair marker down through the center of both, and then line them up so they're nice and straight. Measure it, make sure it's just the right height. Looks like about 11 and a half, huh? 11 and a half inches. Okay, then you can just pin it down and stitch in the ditch through the rickrack just to hold it down. See, my needle is just going right through between the rickrack and the basket. That's a great technique. And then you just go ahead. See those little tips hanging out? We got to get rid of those too. Actually, those are pretty big tips, huh? You guys are too funny. So what do you think goes at the bottom? So now you just cut a square in half, and that's going to go right at the bottom. Now, we have some extra projects. If you want to cut off the bottom and get a little handkerchief and put a little handkerchief right at the bottom. This is actually printed handkerchiefs from Quilters Hall of Fame. Aren't they pretty? You're going to see this quilt, I think, in just a minute. And there you go. No, we think this one is not finished yet, but we're going to show you some finished ones. This is my sister Patty's design. She is very fussy. Do you know Patty? Did she come to Yuma? Yeah? Well, you know how fussy she is. Now she put some little flowers on hers. They are two pieces of fabric sewn together. She used the bodkin and the straw and a little button to hold it in place. Aren't they cute? Do you want to see some of those? Okay, I think this is some of her projects. Isn't that cute? Well, when we were growing up, we were always given little handkerchiefs for confirmation or any little occasion. Our neighbor gave us handkerchiefs. And yeah, your grandmas did. Well, Patty and my sister Judy never wanted their handkerchiefs. They gave them to me. I saved them, and now Patty wanted them back. But she said she'd make a new one. Little flowers, the little bows. Yes, show them over here. Isn't that cute? This time the outside edge is called a wave. It's on the same ruler. Isn't that pretty? She promised us she was going to finish that other one. She better. Isn't that sweet? And then this is a little folded border to keep it. Yeah. We really like white backgrounds. They're really sharp. Okay, pass it on. This one Sue did. She used a more traditional fabric, a more traditional setting. And the fabric is actually from primitive gatherings in Temecula. Very 1800, late 1800. Very nice. With the 9-patch, typical. You want to see the back?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. Of course. Well, Sue doesn't waste a thing. Anything that's left over from the front, she pieces together and puts on the back. That means she's done with her fabric, so she gets to go out and buy more fabric. You've got it. Yes, absolutely. I like that big one she put there. Well, we're back to some of Patty's little ones. We could all take one. Let's just give me one. You get one. Give one to Sue. Oh, I'll take two. Ooh. Aren't we cute? Ah. Which one would you like? You like them all? Well, it's really fun. And this one just has a little piece of our fussy cut fabric. It looks like a little handkerchief with rickrack and bows, perfect bows. They cute?
They are.
And they're in the book. Woo!
Yeah.
Are they cute?
Really nice.
They're very nice. All right. So I think we're done with the fans. Let me think. Did we miss any? Nope, we watched all the technique, didn't we? All right, we're going to be on to some piece squares and strips. How many of you are strippers? Woo, a whole room full of strippers. All right. Ta-da! Isn't that pretty? Goose in the pond. Very traditional pattern. It's known by a couple of other names, but they always escape me. Can you remember, Sue? No, not for. What is? Gentleman's Fancy is another name. It was a really popular pattern just because with the simple piece squares and strips, 9-patch. Sue was given these, or no, Sue purchased these blocks in Paducah, Kentucky. They were probably made, I guess, 40s, 50s. They're newer. They're newer blocks. But anyhow, they were a little wonky. And so you always can tell when somebody puts them in a box and puts them away, it's probably because they couldn't put them together. But I gave them to, Sue gave them to me, I gave them to Teresa, and she struggled, but she got them together, and then we sent it to Eileen to hand quilt. Wasn't it great? It's just, it's just such a great traditional pattern. I just love all the 9-patch in it. It's really, really fun. Lots of 9-patch and lattice, very traditional. All right, pass it on. Now, mainly, if they were going to use two colors, they always did it in blue or red. Blue or red. This one was a machine piece. The top was given to me. I had it in my closet for a long time. That's why I did this project. I wanted to get some of these, quilts finished. So I did send this one to a long arm quilter. And she just did the diagonal lines through there. Very, very lovely. How many different 9 patches are in there? How many different sizes? 3 different sizes. 1 in the block, 1 in the cornerstone, and 1 in the corners. Yeah, and just did the straight piecing. You can really see the quilting on the backside. I love this, just tradition. It never goes out of style. So you can see all of the lines. This was probably made to fit on a double bed, don't you think? Mm-hmm. So this was before queen bed. Long before queen bed times. Okay, let me think. Wait. That's it. For Goose in the Pond. You want to see how to do it? Yes. Well, good, because you're going to get it. There it is. So this is for the piece squares. They're going to end up at 3 inches. They're 3.5-inch squares now. Diagonal line, cut down through the middle, cut down. Just sliver trim the X's and check it. Yep, 3.5 one way and the other. And then the strips. What's your seam allowance? Lock those seams together. There, look at that. And I just sew vertical rows. Honestly, I'm getting worn out. So I like simplicity. I really like those 3.5-inch piece squares. I found quite a jewel, probably from 1880 in an antique store in Julian. Ooh. And this is called crow's nest. Crow's nest, very simple, just with the 2 different pieces that we just did and then a solid square right in the middle. And I love the way the quilt maker, she made it like a surprise. Maybe he did a lot of blue and black and maybe just got bored and threw in some red. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like the red ended up around the outside edges. I guess because he liked it so much, he wanted it bigger. Don't you think? Yes. That's what happens to you like it so much. The plaids are cute. This is very traditional, late 1800 in here. I like the paisley, the polka dots, stripes, wonderful. And there's somewhere I'm excited because it shows they actually used the quilt, right? Yeah. It wasn't in their closet that whole time. They used the pieces. Yeah, and this is kind of like even the color bled through into the batting in the inside. And what do you think? Is there batting? Let's look at this. It's pretty thin, isn't it? Very, very nice. Well, this is called Crow's Nest. I liked it so much that I decided to remake this for my Julian log home. I thought it would fit in really good. Isn't that pretty? I think it's got a little surprise to it. Easy to do.
You matched up here very nicely.
Thank you. Thank you. That's one of the advantages of being a quilt holder. You get to fondle the quilt, check and make sure the work is good. Thank you. Actually, it's not a surprise. You press the seams in opposite directions so they lock together. And when you make locking seams, you can make anything match. Don't you think?
It really helps.
Yes. Well, Sue did this one, and it's the same pattern. This is in the book. It's the same pattern, but we call it positive and negative. Oh, yeah. Can you see it out of one set of strips? So let's look at the green in the top. That'll be really, oh, Ryan's right here. So on this one, it's green, background green, right, and a green center. So let's go to the negative. And now it's the backgrounds on the outside and dark green in the center. Solid background square. So you're just kind of working it. You're working it, girl, when you're putting those two together. And then this one also, you press the seams. You want to show it? It's okay. Sure, show it. Show it. That's nice. That could just about stand alone. Just call it a modern quilt and hang it up, huh? Sue is a modern quilter. I think that was her. But isn't it interesting just changing the fabrics from 1800s to more contemporary? This was just one pack of fat quarters, I think. Eight fat quarters. So that would be fun. Okay, now Patty did this one. The fussy girl did this one. This is Crow's Nest. Patty was one of my caregivers while I was recovering from surgery. And so one day we just felt like sewing. This is what we did. She likes to fussy cut. So while she fussy cut her little flowers for one row, I sewed all 3 blocks together. And she just put this cute little lattice. She thought they were kind of busy touching, so she broke them up with a little lattice and the cornerstone. And this is, I think this was the fussy cut fabric. Yes, the fussy cut fabric that's inside the corners. But fussy cutting, it completely changes the look of it. Really dresses up a very simple block. Crow's Nest. And I'm not sure. I know what. Eric has just a touch of Crow's Nest along with this one. So just wait a minute, Eric. You can show that one. This one, this poor lady didn't know if she was coming or going. Look at this. She said she was like the mad toad, running this way, then she turns and runs the other way. And actually, I think it would be great for a boy, a little boy. I could see him driving his cars all over, don't you think? The arrows are going every which way. But actually, if you look, I think she had some kind of a pattern in mind, like this one. They're all pointing in the arrows. And this one, they're like, I don't know, they're two opposite each other. And then there's funny ones going this way. It's just whatever you want to do, right? That's the fun part of it. Now, this is the other thing. She probably measured her bed. Oh, I know what it is. She probably measured her backing and saw if she just added a little bit more to the edges, she wouldn't have to trim one single thing off of her backing and waste it. And then she took the backing and she brought it from the back around to the front, and she even used the salvage edges. Aren't you impressed? She did not waste a thing on this. No. And it's really heavy batting. Yeah. I usually wash my quilts, but I don't think I've washed this one yet because it doesn't, I see some little spots in it yet, but very, very heavy, very cozy to sleep under. And it's also late 1800s. Isn't it fun? Yeah. And this is just such a typical piece, this navy with the little white, a little shirting, lots of shirting in this. So do you know the name of the pattern? Arrow. Arrow. Or any which way, or coming and going. I'm confused. Well, Teresa wanted to make a new one. She didn't want to be confused. Isn't that one fun? This one clearly has a definition about it. She just couldn't be so scattered, had to be organized. So it's just fun to do, and you can see big arrows, little arrows, arrows running here and there. Yeah, some of the arrows spin one way, then the other. Yeah, really fun. Let's see the back. And this one was long arm quilted recently. Very nice.
I like the different bobbin colors.
Yes, she did different bobbin colors. That I like that backing is really subtle in the design. So Eric, do you have something to show us? Whoop, there it is. There's the arrow, right on time. There's the quilt right there. And it's, whoop, it's a technique called quarter squares. What it looks like when you open it. Now we do a swirling technique so the center lays really flat, and so those stitches swirl. You can swirl clockwise or counterclockwise. Boy, that didn't, and the arrow. Is that nice? Yeah. Cool, cool. All right, we have a pattern coming up from my favorite designer from the 1930s. Her name is Ruby McKim. Ruby McKim, and she wrote the very first quilt book I ever purchased called 101 Patchwork Patterns. And this is one of her, 101. I bought this at a street fair in Julian. Isn't it nice? Very typical. Well, she's going to be celebrated at the Quilters Hall of Fame this year, July, in Marion, Indiana, 100 years. She was working on this. But anyhow, she said this was as quaint as Anne Hathaway's English Garden. And it really is cute, little hexagons to put it all together. And we did it a very traditional way. So this one is really fun with solid squares, side triangles, little fading down here. But that's okay, huh? Yeah, that's very nice. Okay, pass it on. Now, one of the quilt makers found the same pattern, and she put her own spin to it. This was also made in the 1930s. Isn't that nice? Her hand quilting is in green thread. Orion, you have to go in really close on her hand quilting. It's just magnificent. Look at that. Can you see that? How nice it is. So she did a star setting together with large triangles, scallops around the outside, very traditional. Well, we like the center. I mean, you could hang a quilt on point, right? Okay, okay, pass it on, and that's your clue. Hang it on point. Hang it on point. Okay, turn it so that, yeah, there you go. Show them over here.
One more. Two more.
With a star. Water went down wrong. Isn't the little blue check really cute in it? I know, it's really adorable. And the only thing I got to do was the yo-yos. I was recovering while nearly all of these quilts were being made. But let's look at the back. I think it's really cute on the back. A little, almost a check with green and yellow in it and green binding around and very fresh, perfect for springtime. English Flower Garden by Ruby McKim. Okay, I think we have a technique on that. We have mystery hands in the technique. There's English Flower Garden, and that's the little flower. And the little dish is traced on fusible interfacing. You put the fusible side against the right side of the fabric, sew on the line with a metal presser foot, reduce the pressure, and then you just go ahead and trim away. Those are not my hands. You have to figure out whose hands they are. Okay, a fat straw and bodkin is turning that little bowl or basket right side out. Poke it out with your bodkin, and you can stuff it. Stuffing it makes it really nice and dimensional, so just go ahead, cut your batting the same size. Use a pair of hemostats. Grab hold of the corner of the cotton and just take it through the interfacing and just pull it out through the corners. This is a piece of bias. It's a 1-inch bias strip cut on the 45-degree angle. This is the hexagon. This is on a special paper, and I always forget the name of this. Oh, help me. Oh, it's simple, freezer paper. And you just cut the freezer paper and then lay it on top of a square. Trim the square fabric to match, just like, I think it's about 1/4 inch away. Use your little glue stick and just fold the edge over. Make it nice and crisp corners. They're Orion's hands. You guys didn't notice. You didn't notice the wedding ring. You knew that? Okay, this is the background fabric. So we want to get that flower just centered so, away from the edge. This is just the bias that you turn under and just put a little curve in it, and then place the rest of the bias, put the little flowers and the leaves and the basket. Fuse it all down in place, stitch around the outside edges. Is that nice? It's very, very cute. Well, that Ruby McKim worked for the Kansas City Star, and this is from another designer from the Kansas City Star called Eveline Folan. Well, she was the mystery artist at the Kansas City Star because one day she left her artwork all laying on her table and she disappeared. Didn't leave any forwarding address. Everybody figured she eloped or something like that. That sounds good, huh? So she was really arty. She was considered the modern quilter of the 1930s. And this is her pattern. This is called Posy. And she was well known for those little round posy flowers. We actually got another little quilt, little posy girl. But this is very easy to do. Sue found these on the internet. She was able to buy 2 twins identical. And you just think about how women decorated their homes in the 30s and 40s. 2 twin-side beds side by side, identical quilts on both beds. And so this is perfect for a little girl, little pink flower. So it was really fun. All right, well, we liked Posy so much that we had to do a Posy quilt. Wow. Is that sweet? Very, very sweet. All really sweet fabrics. Scallop border around the outside. Each of the blocks are framed with a little lattice and then more lattice in between. Buttons, yes, buttons or yo-yos. I didn't get the job of making the yo-yos. I guess I'm lucky. But anyhow, very fun. Notice the quilting. The quilting has been mirrored to the flower. Very nice. And if you show the back, oops, it's gone. Oops, it's gone. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful. Now you're going to go agog over the next one. Patty did this one. See, I told you, agog. So much fun. Well, she thought that it would be best to put all the appliques together. So there were 2 major blocks of applique, and that's what she did. But isn't it cute? Yeah, she loves to fuss.
Piece of work.
That's a piece of fussy cut fabric, and if you can see how she really gussied up the little flowers, a little pretty stone in the middle, and layers. Yes, she made them 3-dimensional, and the little posies are yo-yos, more 3-dimension. The little tablecloth, down below. She went nuts with these little fan baskets. She is the pro on the fan baskets. She could do that in her sleep, huh? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I believe we have some technique on something. The posy flower. You're going to love it. Okay, there it is right there. It's really quarter circles, but you just start out with a big circle. And you sew it to fusible interfacing. Wow, did that go fast? And just trimmed and turned with a circle with fusible interfacing. Cut it into 4 so the fusing is on the back of that circle. Fold your background fabric into 4s. Now you want to mark off so you fit your little quarter circles inside these marks. That ruler is adorable. It has my name on it. Then you just fuse those right in place. And if you want, you can stitch around the outside and then just turn it over and trim away the excess bulk behind, or just leave it in there. Make little bias tape pieces 2.5 inches long and pin them in between each one of your quarter circles and baste them in place. And now you have triangles on 2 opposite sides. Stitch them down, then fold them out. I'm really moving now. I'm running out of time. Okay, so fold those little bias tape pieces out like so. And your little circle flower and your little leaves. Go on top, fuse them in place, stitch them down, and you're done. Is that cute? That's very easy. A lot easier than you thought, huh? I know, we're just like that. Okay, so now we're back to some strips. This is the spider web. Isn't that striking? I like to really look at that. See, you're still taking pictures. They're all in the book. Every one of them shot professionally. So anyhow, this is also a Ruby McKim pattern. This is a traditional spider web, but you just use 2 strips. That's all you use is 2 strips. But we sewed and we got 1 block, and there was more left on the strip. So we said, don't waste that. Make the second block. So it's just like the waist knot block. Just use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without, huh? So that one is really fun to do. And I do know for a fact that Teresa and I sat in one morning and had these little blocks all sewn together. They're easy to do. We have this special technique of locking the center, swirling it so it's flat. Very nice. How are we doing? I forget. Eric, is that all stand by itself? Hit it. We'll look and see. There we go, strips. 2 different sizes of strips, 2 pairs. One with a wide light and narrow dark. And then the opposite one is just the same. You take the 2 pieces, put them right sides together, take your kaleidoscope ruler, and you just cut your kaleidoscope shape, up and down, and then you just lock them together, sew them in pairs. Each one has 4 pairs. And you lay them out like that. You lock them together, see? You match them at the top, and you push your seams in opposite directions. That's the key, opposite directions. Then you unsew, just a couple of little stitches on both sides, lay it flat, and you just swirl the seam, and then you mush it real good in the center. And just trim off just a little bit on the sides, cut off your tips, add your triangles, and that's your block. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's very simple, very, very simple, and you can get it done so fast. And when my students made these samplers, they really padded them with a lot of these blocks. Whenever they wanted a little block to fill in, it's just so cute and graphic. All right, now we have one. This is a late 1800 quilt, was given to me. Do you know the name of it? Storm at Sea. But look at the colors, aren't they fantastic? The grays and the pinks. And if you notice, this quilt maker arranged them so she could get a little pinwheel. This is the block itself. And she put her colors just so she'd get that little pinwheel. Wow. Storm at Sea, I think, is probably one of the oldest patterns because they could just take just bits and sew those piece squares together, really little things. Ours are 2.5 inches. We're not that crazy. But anyhow, with white corners. I love that one. Brenda gave it to me because her husband said she had too many quilts and she had to get rid of some. So I got it. Isn't that too bad? Okay, you can just show the back because it is all hand quilted. You could see all the little tiny stitches. Yeah, tiny, tiny little stitches on the back. Yeah, there could be some patches. Yeah, it is set together with the binding. Okay, let's see. The next one is just our favorite color, red. Woo! Red. Isn't that good? Wow, red. It's really nice with the red and then the white, a lot of white and red throughout it. It's really good. And this one is such a scrap bag, you know, you can see stripes and little prints and on and on. It's heavy, it's really heavy. It's very thick quilting. I call these toenail catchers, because they're about, 1/4 of an inch. You can get stuck in those when you sleep in them. Now, what's unique about this quilt is that the quilt maker actually embroidered the beginning date and the ending date. It did take her a little bit more than a day, but let's just look and see. Here's the beginning right up here in the top. Okay, she started here, right here. September, let's hold it still, September 24th, 1947. She started it and she finished it December 27th, 1947, all in the same year. You get it?
Quilted at that time, or if it was everything.
What's that?
Did she piece and quilt, or did she?
Well, she didn't. Well, she had to piece it because it's quilted through the quilting. Yeah, and it's missing the binding, so she even bound it in that time. She took the backing and she brought it around to the front.
Yes.
Aren't you impressed?
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed.
I am too.
Not in a day, but pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
I've actually been working on one of these by machine, and it's time consuming. But I just liked it so much that I decided to do it. Yeah, isn't that pretty? And she put she cut off the corners, probably because they were too hard to do. Don't you think? Good idea, huh? And so Teresa has some of hers that she did. This is a 3 fabric Storm at Sea. And it's done in quarters. So this is 1/4. This first, and then a triangle on both sides. That's 1/4 of it, and then 4 of those are put together to make one block. So it's really fun. Very nice. Okay. Yes, the back is just like, woo.
I'm left-handed.
Psychedelic, huh? Very fun. Okay, so the next one is from Batik. Very scrappy. That one's very sharp too. We always have Batiks for sale here at Quilt in a Day, and we had some bundles put together. Now, what's unique about this one is that there's 4 Storm at Sea blocks in the center, but then here's our old friend along here. So this is what? The arrow. Yeah, you see it. This was Orion's idea. And then in the corner, this is just 1/4 of Goose in the Pond. All in the 4 corners. So it's this. Oh, yes. That was made from one of those bundles. Isn't that fun? Yeah. Yeah, we always have these bundles. The girls are always fighting over them, but that was very pretty. And then you just have to buy your background fabric. And the yardage is in the book. And then you can look at the front. Isn't that beautiful, gorgeous coloring? So this one is the one that I did. And I worked it out so I could get that little pinwheel right in the middle. It had to be a little red pinwheel. So it was fun to do. Yep, I got to get all the thread off of it. Whoops, I'm going to fall over. It looks like a bug on there. And I put little red print on the back. And you can see. Very, very nice. Lovely. Eric, is there video technique for that? Oh, there it is. Okay, so it's scrappy. We're making little 2.5-inch triangle piece squares, and you just put the 26, you put 2.5 on the line. That's how you lay it out, and you just assembly line sew all of those 2.5-inch squares together. I just go, woo, power. So all those together, you think you're gonna go nuts. And we have a way of showing you how to lock all of those pieces. Then it goes together in rows. You sew rows together. This is actually the first time I saw this video. We have never gotten to this segment of video. You guys must be a really great audience, huh? And using your stiletto, all of your seams, one goes up and then the other one goes down. That is 1/4 of it. Right there, you just trim off those points. Then triangles go right on those edges. Trim it up, one more. Okay, triangles. Let the tips hang out this time. You let the tips hang out on one side and then the other. That's 1/4 of it. Then just go ahead and square it up in the outside edge. And 4 of those all go together to make the block. And now, ta-da! And that's it. Whoa! Ah, you guys were great. You were a great audience. So Quilts from Al's Attic will be available in April, and you can just pre-order it now. and you just have to sit and wait until you get the book and make all those quilts. Thank you.